Well, hello everyone. Good to see you today. Going to get back to some enterprise building here in just a moment. Just doing a few house cleaning activities to get ready. How's everybody doing today? I'm doing pretty well. It's a little warm, but I'm for a walk anyway. Had fun. It's a nice Sunday afternoon here. Got some stuff I got to do in a little bit, including find a book, which I may have to take a moment while I'm standing while we're doing this to just take a peek and see if I can figure out where it is. Hopefully I can find it, but who knows. I'll be doing this alone today because Cellist Mike is either still at or will be returning from soon. Geek Girl Con, I think is what it is. I think. We'll see. I'm going to add a... I need to add a little browser thing to this because I'm working on a different part today. I hate Chrome when it comes to OBS because it tends to fight me, which means I have to open up Firefox, and I don't know if anyone else, but my experience with Firefox lately has been horrendous. But I'm going to give you a peek at what we're building today. Okay, so this is what we're currently working on. The Enterprise D, and we're working on the saucer section. So that's the part that I just wanted to show you which part we're working on. And oh, lovely. It's raining. Okay, so let me go ahead and make the game go away. Make the picture go away, sorry. Okay, so This is where we are so far. Phaser array is done, and we've got well, really, we've got 1, 2, 3 layers down of the ellipse. So I'm going to work on a few more parts of the ellipse. That's the rear. That's those little orange part. That's the impulse section for those that haven't seen before, and that's obviously the bridge. So let's go deal with the weather first. There we go. There's what it looks like from below. You know what? I should take a screenshot of that. Just because it's nice to show progress pictures. So first step here is going to be to figure out exactly how large we're going to have this one be for the ellipse. So and that's why we have these lines. It makes it easy. 10, 20, 30, 42. So 42, 84, 85 on one side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 62, so 124, 125. 125 by 85. So, excuse me a moment while I get my ellipse generator going. 125 by 85. There we go. Okay. So this should, in theory, allow me to just count out exact number for this. So it looks like this edge over here overshot a little. Oh, nice. This edge right here is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's the problem with counting with your fingers on a screen is sometimes you lose track of which one you're on. Just give me a sec. Let me try this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11. So 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side, and 2, 3, 5 on this side. And then this side is going to have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19. So I need to put 9 on each side. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's gonna be a little different today without someone to talk to. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Charles, Mike, and I have been having some pretty decent conversations. 7 then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I should go the other direction. So it's really 8, but it's going to end up being 7. So, any of you, whoa, that's not what I meant to do. Any of you hop into chat. Hey, Setherizer, how's it going? I'll definitely be chit-chatting with you. Hi, Zoe. Please empty the dishwasher. Thank you. Okay, so last couple of times we've had some nice discussions about both Star Trek and some video game mechanics that we don't like, although Cellist Mike is a little more forgiving with video game mechanics than me. I've been known to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, no, wait a minute. It's supposed to be 8, 9 with that one. I've been known to completely give up on a game because of based entirely on the issues I have with, say, controls or stuff like that. I used to love the Medal of Honor series until they came out with the Pacific one, the very first Pacific one, and they so completely screwed. It was a new developer, and they so completely screwed with the control system that I barely made it past Pearl Harbor and then just gave up. I was so frustrated by the controls. Why am I going to put myself through the torture? I don't really need to wipe that one out. It's going to fill in. I'm doing well. It's a little warm today, but I'm inside. I enjoyed a pleasant bike ride today to and from my church. That's always nice being where you can do that. Got passed by a couple of bikers today. They were pleasant. So I'm doing well. How about yourself? I mean, you said you're doing good. Have you been doing anything else? I'd also like to thank my hosts, as always, Pixel Sharks, Cellist Mike, JPZ Mineezy, and Ion B. Ion B is a German streamer. Later on, here in a bit, I'm going to be passing this stream off to my daughter, Zoe, for her to do her German Minecraft stream. But I wanted to get some enterprise building in because I didn't get to yesterday. I was so busy doing work. I wrote 6,500 words yesterday. 2, 4, 6, 8. So yeah, and I got a late start because the day before I just had a very unproductive day. So since this is your first time tuning into the enterprise build, I'm going to ask you the question we've asked the other viewers. Which is your favorite Star Trek? If you like Star Trek. I made an assumption there. So do you like Star Trek? And if so, which one is your favorite? Obviously, I like TNG because we're building a TNG Enterprise. It was also partially inspired by the fact that it was their anniversary coming up. Let's make sure I got this right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, and then 2, and then 2 ones, and then 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ones. That's okay. I mean, got to start somewhere, right? I'm not sure how much of a when it comes to recommending, it depends on how thorough you want to be. So if we use Doctor Who as an example, if I were to tell people who've never watched it before to go back and watch it, I would tell them to skip everything prior to 2005. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The reason why is because those are kind of hard to get into. 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 more. They're kind of hard to get into because the production value is different. They have some good stories and good writing, but a lot of people just can't handle the poor production value. So if that matters to you, then probably best to start with newer Trek. TNG is good, but TNG is now is definitely getting old. It's considered by many to be the best Trek. Even purists who say it's always better. So it looks like stacked 2s. Even purists who prefer the original Trek over TNG often compliment TNG. And this is actually the 30th anniversary. We were actually working on this. That's when we put the phaser array in on the 30th anniversary. I don't think that's why he started this, Jealous Mike. I think he started it because he'd been watching Trek a lot lately. Going back and rewatching it. So, and it's a lot to watch if you haven't already been doing it. So now 4. That original TNG is definitely a good place to start. It definitely takes some. Oh, I made a mistake somewhere along here. So I should start from this direction to correct it. 1, 2, 3. Happens all the time, right? If you want to just get a sample of it, there are some that I could definitely recommend. Episodes to start with if you just want to see Yeah, the new Doctor Who is definitely better than the older Doctor Who. I really like the 2005 version, Christopher Eccleston, the Doctor with PTSD. I really liked that interpretation, especially as we've gone on and we've learned more about what happened right before him, with the War Doctor and everything. Yeah, that's pretty much been a consensus view, Seth Reiser, that the old ones just never succeeded in pulling people in. So I did the 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 of these 2s like this. So that at least was right. You'll experience the same thing if you try to go back and watch the original series. It's I guess I don't really need to eliminate those. It's a bit rough. In fact, if you do decide to go back and watch it all, I recommend just skipping the end of season 2 and all of season 3. A lot of people who grew up on the original series grew up watching it in reruns, and reruns tended to show the... Yeah, it was produced for so long. Speaking of Doctor Who. Now, the original series, it didn't stay on TV. Star Trek, it didn't stay on TV because people didn't watch it. And so the people who are like, oh, I grew up on original series is the best, that's the one I'm going to stick with. They watched it all in reruns. And reruns tended to show the more popular ones, the ones that the studio knew were the good ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, so 6 of these. 6 of these, and then this one goes over 2. So, yeah, it's rough. If you gave the original Doctor Who a try, if you go back and try to watch the original series, you're gonna get a similar feeling in terms of how the production value. It's just, it wasn't as good, and TNG benefited from coming out almost 20 years to almost to the day. It was this 1967 and 1987, although I think actually it may have been 1966 when the original series came out. But it didn't last because people didn't watch it. So when people started getting into their whole, original series is the best, they're the ones I'm going to stick with, I like to point out to them that you most likely watched it in reruns, and so you probably don't remember the horridness that is the end of that series, when that ship behind the scenes was falling apart. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you haven't, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you haven't caught the new Discovery yet, that's a very well produced version. I think it's supposed to be 4 3s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Okay. I think we're on 4. And it's supposed to be a 5. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let me make sure I did my math right. 3, 4, 5, 6. That was right. That was a mistake. I made this one 8. Boom. The originals, the Discovery, the new show, has definitely got better production value. CBS made a choice to increase the budget, and it shows. I really enjoyed the pilot. I thought, my opinion is that the Discovery pilot, production-wise, acting-wise, writing-wise, action, balance with the writing, is so far the best. The Cage, which was the original unaired pilot, is pretty good. But in terms of writing, but it's not. It just doesn't match up in acting. In fact, if you do ever watch the original pilot for the original series, you're going to notice that the acting is really bad. So, since you like Doctor Who, who's your favorite Doctor? Actually, I'm going to ask 2 questions. Who is your first Doctor, and who's your favorite Doctor? Because sometimes those 2 aren't the same, but they tend to be the same. My first Doctor was the 9th Doctor back in 2005. I enjoyed I enjoyed the stories with him because even though they dealt with a lot, that they dealt with the darker sides of what he was feeling, and that laid the foundation for what we saw later with the David Tennant and the Matt Smith Doctor becoming, arrogant and out of control. If you hadn't had the Christopher Eccleston Doctor, you couldn't have had those storylines. Hey Molressa 62, welcome to the stream. We're building the Enterprise D, but we're currently talking about Doctor Who. I just asked Setherizer in the chat who his favorite Doctor was. And after you do that, I'd like to, after you pick that one, if you haven't already got it in mind, what's your favorite episode of Doctor Who? See, with TNG, I find it's a lot easier to get people to list off favorite episodes, but when it comes to Doctor Who, I'm not sure why. It's just there seems to be less of a trend towards picking favorite episodes versus picking favorite series or favorite doctors. Well, it used to be the Doctor matched the series. Yeah, so 2005 one is your first one. So you pretty much have 4 to choose from, plus the War Doctor that they've revealed. I definitely didn't. When it comes to with the newer Doctors, the companions, I think I liked Rose. I was a little disappointed with the one that followed her up. But the thing that I liked about her was she's the companion that said no, that walked away. Whereas a lot of the other companions, it took a lot more for them to walk away. She stayed away, the others eventually came back. I think that was a defining characteristic for her. Amy and Rory are, popular ones. Amy honestly because she was a geeky redhead and everyone liked that. Especially in that era, it was kind of like the trend to do that. But honestly, I think Rory was a better companion in the long run than Amy was. That's just my preference. I find interesting that the actor that played Rory is now playing Rip Hunter on The Legends of Tomorrow. He's essentially a doctor. He's in that universe. He's the doctor, the time traveling guy who's going through time and experimenting with it and protecting it and saving it. I get a lot of Doctor Who vibes from him when he's in character. Although currently, because we're making our way through season 2, or it's either season 2 or season 3, whichever one is the one that matches with Supergirl season 2 and Flash season 3. At the point we are in the story, Rip is not there. Not sure what happened to him. Guess I'll just have to wait and see. Amorogene, how are you? Nice to see you. I don't think I've ever seen you in mine, so welcome. Just working on the Enterprise again. And talking to little Doctor Who and other things. These, as I said before, are markers of 10. These will eventually all disappear, but for now they help us keep track of where the intervals of 10 are when we're laying things out here. So try to stay on top of them so they don't get too far behind with laying them out. I'm working on getting the ellipses down to the phaser array, and then from there we'll continue on. So, with the doctors, I'm not sure right now which one I prefer. I found that it always took a while to get used to a new doctor. That is very true. It's like the same argument happens every single time when a new doctor comes along. They're not as good as the one before, and then they complain about it all the way through until it's time to announce a new doctor, and then rinse repeat the same discussion. Emerging, the question I asked Seth the Reiser was who was your first Doctor and who's your favorite Doctor if you've watched Doctor Who. We started with talking a little bit more about Star Trek. Are you a Trekkie, Emerging? Clearly I am, because I'm building an Enterprise. Never seen Doctor Who. Oh. Any interest in seeing Doctor Who? Seth the Reiser and I both started with the 9th Doctor, the one that premiered in 2005, the Christopher Eccleston one. So that's and for me that is my favorite. Although I thoroughly enjoyed the David Tennant Doctor Who. Matt Smith's was sometimes entertaining. For me, the highlight of Matt Smith's Doctor Who run was why can't I remember her name? River Song. I thought she was one of the best companions that they ever brought along. Episode wise, I really liked the first episode with the Angels and the Pandorica. That's a good episode. Yeah, see, that's the thing, Emerging. Doctor Who is very much, it's kind of hit or miss with episodes. Yeah, the opposite timelines were a bit were I thought they kind of had to bend themselves backwards with the River Song thing, but probably shouldn't say any more if Emerging is opposed to spoilers. I did think they did a lot of backbending when they wrote those. Emerging, if you're gonna give Doctor Who a try, I think the best episode to do that on is Blink. It's a season. It's either a season 2 or a season 3 episode. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's either a season 2 or season 3 episode, and it encapsulates what Doctor Who is in a single episode. I don't think it's necessarily the best. It's a good one, but I don't think it's necessarily the best because it doesn't focus on the Doctor. It focuses on a side story. Now, if you want to watch a good single episode of Doctor Who, The Girl in the Fireplace is by far still one of my all-time favorites. I just loved the whole concept of that story. It was a story inside a story. Thanks for the host, I Kill Omega. Cool. Well, then if we accidentally give out details about River Song, so it won't matter to you. But yeah, the Girl in the Fireplace is a nice ship in a bottle episode. Thank you for that follow, Emerging. I think I'd have to look. Let me say, yep, I am 3 followers away from 100. Getting there. Not sure what I'm going to do to celebrate 100. Season 3, episode 10. Thank you, Seth the Reiser. Hey, I'm assuming you've seen that episode. It's everything. It's the famous quote. Time is timey-wimey stuff. That quote, which is famous in Doctor Who circles and memes. It's from that episode. Talking about explaining how time works and how it's not as linear as people think it is. So 5. Oh, I'm supposed to just go to 3 next. There we go. It's a good episode, but I really liked, and I'm pretty sure it's season 2. Now we say, and I said season, it's actually series, and it's series. It's considered series 3. Hey, I Kill Omega. How's it going? Did you enjoy your stream of Cuphead yesterday? Yes, that's a good one. The Blink. You can see everything that is Doctor Who in one episode in that one. Girl in the Fireplace is definitely more of it's like Inner Light, The Next Generation. You get to see a very specific story that shows a lot about who the captain is, and gives you kind of a good kind of picture of what TNG was always about in a single episode. That's what I like about A Girl in the Fireplace. And I would be remiss if I didn't also recommend the Library, The Silence in the Library 2-parter. That is actually the introduction to a very important character later in the series, and that story becomes that episode becomes even more impactful once you know more about that character and her story later in the series. I can't remember I Kill Omega. Have you watched much Doctor Who? I know we've talked a lot of stuff. For Setherizer and Emerging, I Kill Omega is the artist who did the cover of my book. And he's done several sketches that have helped me with scenery. I completely changed a scene in my book just so I could use something that he drew just randomly that he thought would be cool on my world. You watch some? Yeah, it's the one where they find the ship that has all those fireplaces to different times, and they have to figure out what the connection is and what they're trying to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I thought it managed to do better in one episode than, because the original Trek was always about, you know, who's the enemy of the week and who's the girl of the week for Captain Kirk. Well, this Doctor Who isn't really that, but there were moments where they had Doctor Who encounter these characters in these times that were really impactful on him, and this is one of those. And I think it was a better way of accomplishing the whole what happens when you do make a friend, someone who could potentially be a life-changing friend, a partner, even someone who could be a love interest. You know, what happens when you encounter those people, and how does it affect you going forward? I don't know how much they explored it beyond the original meeting, but I really like it, and you actually get to see the Doctor more, as opposed to Blink, where you spend most of the time around these two side characters who only feature in one episode. So, Emerging, you've seen most of the original Star Trek with your grandpa, and that's it. So you probably watched it in reruns. I was discussing that earlier. Have you? So you never watched TNG, huh? Well, you might not recognize this ship then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 ones. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the next one is like that. I Kill Omega, you mean like the later Doctors? So we're talking anything from Doctor number 9 through 12. I'm not really caught up on the most recent Doctor, because where we were living in Germany, it was hard to keep up with it. And even here, I'd have to purchase the episodes to catch up on them now. Although I think Netflix might have a new series for us to watch. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4 of these twos like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it's a 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is the 4th one. There we go. 4. Very few episodes of seasons from the 2000s. I don't recall. It was, well, they premiered in 2005, so 12 years ago. So it was very likely. And surprise, surprise, I'm off again. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh well, we'll fix it in just a second. Curves are hard to do. I was working on a Death Star in another world that we used to have on here. And let me tell you, that thing was a bit of a pain. Just, that's all I'm going to say. 2, 3, 4. 4, and then 2, 3. Just 1, and then 2. No. Oh! That was all it was needed. That was just a little off. That's cool. It's very nice when it's that simple. In case you couldn't tell, we are doing this on creative mode. And I need a new keyboard. My spacebar. Having been an author and written I mean, we're probably approaching over 400,000 words on this keyboard. I need a new keyboard. It's plus it's my gaming computer, so I got this keyboard actually because it lit up because the room I was in Germany was the basement, and it didn't have a lot of good lighting, so I kind of had to do it myself. This one I've installed lighting for the camera, but the camera's been acting up lately, and so I didn't. So I'm sorry you can't see my ugly mug. There are other streams you can go catch it on if you just absolutely have to see it. So you, I Kill Omega, how was your Cuphead yesterday? I got to watch Instafluff, who, first off, let's give a shout out to I Kill Omega. He plays a variety of games, but also I'm going to give a shout out to Instafluff because the two of them over the past 2 days had been playing Cuphead, which if you haven't seen in Cuphead, it's great. And if you want to see someone complete Cuphead on premiere day, go catch Instafluff's VOD of his, but be prepared, it's 12 hours. You're almost halfway through the game. I love the graphics. It's just so entertaining to watch 1930s era cartoons as a game, and they have definitely captured the feel and look of that era of cartoons. And they managed to get you thinking about characters like Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and Mickey Mouse and stuff, plus all the other characters that people have just forgotten over time and from other animation studios, without just straight up calling them that. There was definitely a moment where I thought the character that the boss that Cuphead was fighting, I think you fought that one also, Chris. So I Kill Omega, that's his name. It was a bunny who, as soon as Fluff finished it, his comment was, I think that was supposed to be Bugs Bunny, but I'm not sure. And it definitely had a resemblance to the 1930s, the early versions of Bugs Bunny. You know, wait till you get to the final. There's like 2 stretches of final bosses, and yeah, it's he spent an hour and a half just on the actual last one, and that's not talking about the hour or so that he spent trying to get through the ones right before that. It was entertaining. It was entertaining to watch. But at that point, he wasn't going to quit because he'd been at it for 10 hours, almost 10 hours at that. Like, why stop then? So he, as he calls it, he fully fluffed. No, it's good. He fully fluffed that game on premiere day. The roller coaster. Yes, you're right. That is. I also watched Seth and Emerging. You actually know some of these guys I'm talking about. I also watched. Hold on. I want to make sure I get the right. Yeah, it's an underscore. Okay. Vexus V was also playing it. He thoroughly enjoyed it, but he definitely had a harder time. So there he is. If you're not already following him, he is also amazing at Street Fighter 4. Apparently, Dukes was bragging about his skills at Street Fighter. So if you're a Street Fighter fan, Vexus does play some of that also. I haven't really been much of a Street Fighter fan, ever. I mean, I was around when it came out in the arcade, and I just never got into it, or Mortal Kombat. I played them, but just never got into them. Sorry, needed a drink. Stop fighting me, bottle. Go put the lid back on. I forgot to turn the sun back on, but now with the sun off, you can see why those rows of lighting are kind of important, because it really gives us some light to work with. There we go. Just need to be slightly above, not a little higher than that. I haven't really logged any time in a Street Fighter game since Street Fighter Alpha 2. Yeah, me either. Or any of that style game. It never caught my attention. I wasn't one to really spend a lot of time sinking quarters into an arcade machine. Yes, Art?
Will you step on me?
Do you want me to step on you? Okay. Can you pardon me for a moment? I need to go stand on my wife. Yeah, she just lets me walk all over her. She has severe back problems, so I will be back in just a moment. You're welcome. All right.
I'm about to take off, okay?
Okay.
Isn't gonna have time to take a shower when we get home, is she?
No, we can tell her to do it before. All right, I'm back.
She gave me a whole sob story about everything she has to do.
Yeah.
She finished it and told me she was bored.
Yes, typical child. Our daughter is complaining about how we gave her too many chores to do, and when she finished them, she was bored. So, welcome, Shadow Zone Ninja. Nice to see you again. We're continuing work on the Enterprise, and been talking about Doctor Who and Cuphead and Street Fighter and a little bit of everything. So, here's a question for Shadows Ninja. Are you a Doctor Who fan? And if so, who is your first Doctor? But what's everybody reading? I'm currently reading, by way of audiobook, Dracula vs. Hitler. And never watched Doctor Who. Cool. Are you interested in watching it? But yeah, that book, Dracula vs. Hitler, I'm not going to say right now what my opinion of it is, in case just the name of, that title hooks you and you want to try reading it. I've kind of already made my mind up about the book in terms of quality and what I think about it, but I don't want to. You can probably guess that I'm not a big fan of it, but I'm going to finish it because I started it. After that, I'm not really sure which one I'll switch to. I may do Thrawn by Timothy Zahn. I've always loved that character, and I love Timothy Zahn's work in Star Wars, so definitely looking forward to that. Yeah, it's definitely a different kind of Shadows Ninja saying he's not sure if he would like Doctor Who. It's definitely a different take on science fiction. It has its more whimsical moments, but there are times when it creates a problem and it's not really going to explain. It's not like Star Trek where they literally try to make everything make sense in that context. Doctor Who is a little bit more like Star Wars in that. It's like, some things just aren't going to make sense, but we're not really going to delve too deeply into it because we're here to tell a story and have fun doing it. So, wait a minute, I can't see my lips. There we go. So this is, am I on the side here? Okay, so yeah, 4. I have an ellipse generator that I'm using so I can plot this out. It's definitely complex to keep track of where you are. As you guys have seen, I've messed it up twice on the side on making these circles work. But I'm looking forward to seeing this when it's done. It's going to be massive. And then later, so that's the front of the ship over there. And after we finish this one, I'm not sure which one we'll start next, but we're thinking we're going to build Star Wars ships over there facing the Star Trek ships. So you're going to have the Enterprise D, and eventually you'll have Deep Space Nine and Voyager and Enterprise, and maybe the Enterprise E eventually, although that thing's going to be so much bigger than this. A Borg cube, well, at least it's square, but oh my goodness, it's going to be so big to build. So the idea is to eventually have as many Star Trek ships as we want over here, and then over there have all the Star Wars ships. Have a Star Destroyer and the Millennium Falcon and some TIE fighters and X-wings, and up there in the sky, maybe after we finish this, I'm going to start building the Death Star again. I started it in another world. I built it right over top of one of our Pixel Sharks teammates had built a very to scale version of the main hall of Winterfell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. And I then went and put a Death Star coming into orbit right over top of it with the laser, shooting at one of the towers, and really that was just to disguise the stairs in. I was building it in creative mode, but it was going to go back to eventually it was going to go back to survival mode, and we wanted a way to be able to get up into it. But that world started to get really complicated in terms of figuring out where everybody was building things, and so Cellist Mike decided, you know what, we're starting all over. And I never really built much in that new world until he decided to make a completely empty world, although there is a bottom, and yes, I have fallen through. Because even on creative mode, if you go below a certain level, you are going to just die. For those that don't know, I experimented with that. So 6, 2 1s, and then a 2, and then. So, if we go to a Star Wars ship next, which one would you guys like to see built? I suggested we start with Star Wars and do a Star Destroyer, because angles, much easier to do than circles, or in this case, ellipses. And come on. Nope, it's like this, right? Yeah, so we have all the ones, and then we have a 2, 2 ones, a 2, a 1, only 1. Yeah, only 1. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 2s. Yep. Okay, so I'm on track. Yeah, we'll see when I get to the end, right? So far, I managed to mess them all up. 2. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Some 3s. But yeah, when it comes to building the Star Wars, I mean, I want to get started on the Death Star just because I know it's going to take a while, but 1, 2, 3. But a little bit of me wants to build the Millennium Falcon. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to get inside, build inside the Millennium Falcon if we build it to scale. This one obviously isn't exactly the scale, but at least, the plan is to eventually come in here, and in this space between that center axis and the top, build a replica of the bridge right here, and then over there build 10 forward, and then someplace else in here build a holodeck, and another place in here maybe build a transporter room. Just some of the iconic ones spread out in the space in here. We may actually have to do a version of engineering in this space also. We're going to have the engine drive down there. I'm not exactly sure if that's the right place, but I started to put it in. But we want to build some of the more iconic sets from TNG in there. But they definitely won't be to scale. And the Millennium Falcon if built to scale. We won't be able to go inside. So 5. 5, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, yep. And then 1, 2, 3, up. 3, 4, no 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I did one correct in the first try. Woohoo! That's the first one. So yeah, I may, default to just doing the Millennium Falcon first, but what I may do is start the Death Star, and then when I get a little bored with that, switch over and work on the Millennium Falcon, because I worked on that Death Star for a while on that other world, and I only got maybe a fifth of the way up the side, and that thing was already. There was a long minecart track that we built to get from the nearby town to Winterfell, and when you were riding that as you approached Winterfell, you didn't see Winterfell first. You saw the Death Star first, and holy crap! As that thing started to render, and you watched it, it looked very much like it was coming into the atmosphere. It was huge. It dominated everything that was around. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this side here. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, I want to build it, but I'm just being realistic about it. It's going to take a long time. And when it's done, it's going to be great, but until it's done, I may space it out with some other projects in there. And Cellist Mike was talking about maybe doing a Super Star Destroyer instead of a Destroyer. And if we do that, again, if we use the Enterprise D as the scale that we're going to base it on, just the Star Destroyer and the Death Star are going to be so much larger. A Super Star Destroyer obviously would be, yeah, it does sound pretty cool. A Super Star Destroyer would obviously be smaller than the Death Star, but you remember Empire Strikes Back when that thing, when they introduced that Super Star Destroyer, the whole Star Destroyer was covered up by that thing. That's a seriously big ship. So Seth and Amber and Shadow, do you guys stream at all? Do you guys play? If so, what? I don't think I've seen you guys on yet. Pretty sure I'm following all 3 of you. I try to follow people that follow me, for sure. I know I Kill Omega does. I know what he spends most of his time playing, American Truck Simulator. Not sure why that's got your current interest, but hey, whatever works for you, right? I played Soda Dungeon for how long? And that's like the ultimate in... Oh, I need it. This needs to be this. That's the ultimate in mindless games. I know you said that's one of the nice things about American Truck Simulator is that you can really focus on doing some other things while you're playing it. So 1, 2, 3. Shadow Ninja. I streamed once upon a time, not anymore though. Currently playing Enter the Gungeon as my main game. That's a new one. I haven't heard of that one. What genre? What style is it? Honestly, the only reason I'm playing Minecraft at all is because of Cellist Mike. He bought a copy, and then with my daughter loving it, it definitely became something that. Plus, people just like watching it. Your internet's too bad for that. That's too okay. But still, what do you play? I'm sure you play your own games. You don't just spend all the time watching everybody else play. I hope. I spend a lot of time watching everybody else play, but it's just because my schedule's been so busy as I start working from home. I did a random stream or two when I was somewhere else with better internet. Yeah, I don't think I streamed before we moved to Germany when I had cable internet. But the first time, Gungeon is an indie roguelike bullet hell game. Okay. I don't think I've really played any of that style yet. Yeah, I started. My first stream actually was for Extra Life in 2012. That was when I started streaming, and since then, up until the last couple of years, it was pretty much the only time I streamed was once a year around Extra Life. So 2012, 13, and 14, it was just Extra Life. In 2015, I started trying to get the guys who were on the team to stream more outside of Extra Life, so that the channel would have 1, 2, 3, 4. So one more would have more, of a viewership and more content. So it's not, oh, we're just showing up for Extra Life, and they didn't have any kind of audience. And that's where Pixel Sharks came from. The Pixel Sharks was the team, and the channel Pixel Sharks came from that, which is what Cellist Mike almost exclusively streams to now. But yeah, I just decided for myself I was just going to stream to my own, and then just connect them all on YouTube to the, because you can add videos from other people. 1, 2, 1, 1. But yeah, that was I had to get cable internet in order to do that, and Comcast and I had fights for a long time about how they weren't providing me the speeds they promised. Not even close. I play a lot of Rocket League these days, and I also started Path of Exile. Silver Zodiac on Pixel Sharks. He likes Path of Exile. Tried to get, no, come back. I need that. I think I'm on the 6th one now. Give me just a second to get my bearings. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, and then 2, and then 1, and then 2, and then and then the 6 ones. Yeah, I played it a little bit, but for that style of game, for me, it's like Diablo. I mean, the style of game, but like Diablo, I only play it with other people, and that's it. I mean, I've played a lot of hours in Diablo 3. Still couldn't tell you anything about the story because I never really paid attention to it. I just go in there to have fun with some of my friends. Hey, Senspitter, how are you? Welcome. We're working on the Enterprise D, talking about some games that people are playing. It's nice to see you. Okay, so now we're turning sideways. Oh, wait a minute. This needs to go like that. I think that's where I've been making my mistake. That one. So it's going to be, and then 2. Okay. The angle I'm looking at now is really throwing me because I'm looking at it this direction, but the picture I'm looking at is facing this direction. So it might be better to do it like this. Two, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, now we're to the multiple. Is that what we? Yeah, I think this is the multiple 2s. So it's 4 of these. Oh, Minecraft, lots of counting. Makes for excellent streaming though, right? Lurking up, I enjoy some food. And what are you eating? I just had we had homemade pizza. I think I'm completely swearing off store-bought pizza. My wife is an amazing cook, and I don't know why. Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate that. Getting close to that 100. Not sure what I'm going to do to celebrate it. We shall see. But yeah, what are you eating? I just had some homemade pizza. Leftover homemade pizza. But yeah. Chris, I can't I can't remember if we ever had you over for like Thanksgiving or anything, but have you ever been able to enjoy the awesomeness that is Art's cooking? Because there you are. The system finally caught up with you. All right. So this is supposed to be 2. So let's Let's make sure we get this to match. 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and then 2. Sorry. You don't think so? Oh, that's too bad, because, man, she makes her turkey. Let's just put it this way. My mom has declared my wife's turkey to be better than hers. So she won over the mother-in-law with her turkey. And it's really not that much of a secret what she does. She sticks a can of pumpkin ale up its butt and cooks it. Homemade pizza is fantastic, since bitter. Some salad. Hey, there's nothing wrong with a good salad. I'll enjoy a good salad. Get some almonds in there, and some carrots, a couple tomatoes. Get the right, like a good vinaigrette on there. My wife is very big into the gourmet salads, but she also has to be very careful what she gets because she has an allergy. It's kind of like an allergy to excitotoxins. If they get into her system, she can't sleep, and we like it when she sleeps, so she has to avoid those things. All right. So we did the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 2s, a 1 and then a 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, a 1 and then a 2, and then... Yep, there we go. This level is done. So I'm just going to go fill it in. Yay! Yeah, she made 2 different versions of cheese pizza last night. One with a little more basil, and one with no. Actually, I think she put a little bit in both, but there was definitely one that you could see the basil through the cheese. They were both good. She ate hers. My wife ate hers cold today. There was definitely a difference today in how it tasted, cold versus warmed up again. Warmed up again, it was fantastic, but when mine had cooled off a little, it wasn't quite as good, but it was still delicious. Anybody else here make their own pizza? She has to use organic sugar in order to be able to have any sugar and make the right kind of dough. So she can't have anything that's been bleached. So there goes pretty much all white flours and most sugars. It was much easier in Germany because they don't do those things to their food. Coming back here is definitely a return to the more stressful types of shopping for food. Not that Germany was perfect, but in terms of its food selection and how they prepared their food, definitely a step up. And we lived there for 4 years this last time. I have actually lived there 3 times. Well, I was born there, and then I lived there when I was a kid, from 10 to 15. So teenager, really, preteen into teen. And no, I don't speak German. Sorry. My daughter does, though. If she were around, I'd have her hop on and chit-chat about what I'm doing in German. One of the ways we get her to practice her German is to do her own Minecraft, which is 2:30. Maybe get her on here for about 45 minutes before we have to leave for a meeting. But I want to work on this for right now. So Sin, since you came in a little bit later, we're going to ask you the question I asked people earlier. First, are you a Trekkie? Second, are you a Doctor Who fan? We'll start with that, and I'll have follow-up questions. Didn't think you were going to get grilled when you came in, right? Of course, if she's... I think it's a she. Is actually lurking. We may never get an answer. But if so, we'll ask her. Let's come from this direction on this one. So is anybody actually, like, my wife and daughter and I are actually catching up on these things because where we were in Germany we couldn't have access to them. Has anyone else here been watching the DC TV shows? We are currently catching up on all of them, and we're basically in that we're just about to make it to the invasion, the 4-episode invasion crossover between the 4 shows. So I'm just curious if anyone else has been watching them. I enjoy them. I mean, they're not perfect by any means, but it's a nice, mostly fun viewing. No, not yeah, DC shows on TV. Sorry, when you came back and said DC TV, my first thought was DragonCon TV. I highly recommend following DragonCon TV on YouTube because they definitely have some fun with the spots that they do, and have some entertaining music videos that they've done, spoofs of popular songs. They are by no means singing masterpieces, but they are fairly entertaining. But no, yeah, I'm talking about the shows. So Arrow, not Gotham so much as I haven't watched Gotham yet. I'm about to, because again, in Germany we didn't have access to it on Netflix, so, or Amazon. But yeah, Arrow, the stuff in the Berlantiverse, or Arrowverse as they call it. So Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and technically now Supergirl, because they've crossed her over, even though technically she is in an alternate Earth. Okay, so yeah, we are up to, in Arrow we were up through season 5 to the episode that is the big invasion crossover. Legends of Tomorrow, we are up through that also, although my wife and daughter are rewatching that because my daughter didn't see it the first time when we watched it. We are currently working our way through Flash season 3 and Supergirl season 2 episode by episode, because there's those two, that's the seasons that match up with Legends season 2 and Arrow season 5 for that big crossover episode, the 4-parter. And Supergirl is the one that starts it technically. It doesn't have the name Invasion in it like Arrow and Flash and Legends did, to make it easy to figure out which one's which, but it starts in Supergirl. I think it's episode 7 or 8 of season 2. I can't say I'm really a big fan of where the direction they've gone with season 3 of Flash. I just felt like how they decided to end season 2 was like a major step back for him. I think it was just a cheap excuse for them to go through and change up some things that they've been doing, and maybe give them an opportunity to do some other things that they needed an excuse to do. I don't know who else is watching it and how much they care about spoilers, so I'm trying to be careful about it, but I definitely don't like how it started. Flash was always about, moving, I mean, he always struggled with it, but I felt like season 1 was all about him, coming to terms with what happened with his mom, and at season 2 he still struggled with it, and he progressed to the next level with that, where not only did he accept it, but he started to kind of go forward. But then the end of season 2 comes along, it's like, let's just reset and mess it all up again. And I'm not sure. I'm gonna give the season its chance, but just not digging it so far. We shall see, though. I did have some issues with Supergirl, the end of season 1, the whole her going into space and some of the limitations they put on that one. Basically, it wasn't canon. It wasn't sticking with canon. That they've clearly made an effort with the beginning of season 2 and their references to the Superman movies. They've clearly been trying to make sure that Supergirl exists in the universe that the Superman movies existed in. So, in that sense, the choice that they made with the limitations they put on her at the end of season 1, they just don't make sense. I also really had an issue with the way they wrote the scenes, that they basically could guarantee that they had this dream fight scene that they'd probably been trying to figure out a way to do since they started the season. And yeah, it was one of those. They just wanted to have this character there, so they could finally have this fight that they'd been hoping for, and again they had to resort to mind control in order to make it happen, which is an issue that Avengers 1 had, and in somewhat Avengers 2. I like that Captain America 3 Civil War finally got around the whole, oh, we're just going to brainwash people so we can have them fight each other. And they came up with a believable way for them all to fight each other. But that's just me. I'm also the person who thinks that the popular criticism of Superman in Superman Returns, the early 2000s movie, is patently false, where they accuse him of being a deadbeat dad. And it's hard to be a deadbeat dad when you're not around to be a deadbeat. You know, when you go off, you leave the world before you even know that you had a child, and you don't come back until the child is as old as he was in the movie, because it took you that long to get where you were going. So I definitely disagree with those criticisms of it. I do think that they tried too hard to make him look like the Christopher Reeve Superman, but in that I think I'm connecting it to the original Christopher Reeve's, or the original Superman, Christopher Reeve's father, who Christopher Reeve in the movie pretty much did a dead duplicate of. Didn't change the character in any way, not like they did with Man of Steel 1 and 2, and like what they did with Lex Luthor. Hey, another layer is done. Woohoo! George Reeves. Yeah, I knew it wasn't Chris. But yeah, the George Reeves Superman from TV. Christopher Reeve essentially just did another version of him. Didn't really do anything, like take any, change. They didn't really change with it. Okay, so 125 is 62, so 63, 64, 65, 66, 67. So that's going to be 134, 135. Let me adjust my ellipse thing here. 135, and let's go back to... Hey, that's okay. Thanks for tuning in, iKill Omega. We'll catch you around. Everybody, if you're not following him, he has some different interesting choices in games that you would enjoy. Some of you would enjoy. He's currently doing a playthrough of Cuphead, so be sure to check out his channel. Give him a follow, maybe. This is 85, so 42, 43, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, so 94, 95, so yeah, it's just adding 10. Oh, I need to make sure I share this website with Cellist Mike before he starts trying to build another. Okay, so where's there it is. Time to count rows. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19. So I need to do 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, almost a duplicate of that one. Be interesting to see how much that carries over. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this one too. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I'm a little tired today. I stayed up too late last night reading X-Men comics, getting my money's worth out of Marvel Unlimited. I've been reading through a bunch of comic events, and lately I've pretty much just been reading X-Men events. So I did this whole Civil War thing, but then what did I read? I honestly don't remember how I got into all of the X-Men comic events. but I did. I knew I wanted to read M Day, the House of M, because I wanted to understand where all, because I was reading something else. I think it was the Civil War 1 came out after M Day, and they mentioned it, and so I wanted to go back and read about what she had done. I think that's how I did. Anyway, lately what I've been doing is basically reading the House of M, long sets, sequences of things. Basically what started with House of M and then became Decimation, and then I finished the Decimation thing. They had made reference to the Messiah complex, so that was what I was reading next. And then I went on to read. That was what I stayed up late finishing last night. I think you just can't read one. This is supposed to be 5. Just like that. Yep. And so now I'm moving on to the Messiah War. After that, we'll see. I may actually go back. There was a storyline in the Decimation event that dealt with the Shatari Empire that I think I want to go back and read. There's where it changes for. Because it set up a series of events, a sequence of events that was part of the Decimation event, that dealt with some of the X-Men going to Shatar in order to stop a mutant from wiping out the Shatar Empire, and that was how they gave Xavier back his powers that he lost on M Day. So 4 and then 3, and then we'll go to the other side. I saw that one as soon as they started talking about that big giant crystal. I'm like, oh, now we know how Xavier gets his powers back. And they threw him inside. Like, oh, yep, there he goes. He'll come back out on the other side himself again. But trying to reread through these things. It's definitely. We were talking about trying to get into Doctor Who and Trek earlier, and with people who've never done it before. There's a lot of lore that if you haven't been keeping up with, it can be very daunting to get back into. And comic books are very much the same way. So this one, yep. So I kind of just had to just go with it in terms of what I'm learning and what's being revealed to me, and then just if something really stands out, kind of go read that, which that's how I actually got on the House of M stuff. I really want to read more of the Captain America stuff. He's definitely, if you couldn't tell by my Twitch picture, definitely my favorite. I grew up following Superman mostly though, so interestingly enough. So I'm going to finish doing these little rows of lights, and then I'm going to go check on the 10-year-old. Can't hear her, so it's always bad news when you can't hear them. She could be playing with her rats. Yes, she is. Pet rats, you heard me correctly. She has 3 of them. She's the one. She has this. She's the kid who, when she sees rats in a show, who are meant to be, like vermin rats, they're out and about and stuff. Every time she sees them, she's like, "Oh, it's a rat." It's like, yeah, but that's not a rat you want to bring home. Just saying, that rat's not going to do good for you. But she doesn't care because she knows that because it's on TV, it's not one of those kinds of rats, so she doesn't have to worry about that. All right, so pardon me while I step away and go check on the 10-year-old. Nothing else, I'm going to make sure she gets in the shower. So I will be right back. Oh, she's doing a good job taking care of herself. Got herself showered and everything. It's like, good job, kid. So, let's go back to building. I don't need to see OBS. I need to see this. All right. 4, 3, 3. 4, 3, 3. 2, 3. 2, 2, 2. That's easy enough. Oh, no, not that one. 2. 3. 2. 2. 2. Oh, now I can't see your names. Two. No, the other way. Not sure, but I think 2, 3, 2, 2. I think my mouse may finally be starting to have some problems. I've had this mouse. And this is a Microsoft mouse that it doesn't even have a manufacture date on it, but it was late enough to be made in, I think it's got Chinese anchoring on the bottom. It's one of those Intel mouse optical, laser ones from, when did I get this? Like 2002 or 2003. Still using it. They made themselves a good mouse. 3, 3, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's easy. I was doing this the other day with Cellist Mike, and it felt like I was doing a sound check. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 2, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. And then 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That's easy. 1, 1, 2. 1, 1. 1, 1, 1. Nice. Now let's go to the other side. It's going to be impressive when it's done, but it's a lot of tedious work in the meantime. Alright, so again, this is the 1, 2, 1, 2. Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. And then 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2, and then 5 once. Yep. Cellist Mike just messaged me. He says hello from Seattle and Geek Girl Con. Pretty sure that's the con he's at. I know he's at one of them like that. There we go. Yep, dead on. This thing is getting big enough that I won't be able to do that, and like the flying up or looking at the other side to make sure that it lines up. It's getting to the point where I won't be able to do that anymore. Okay, so now we're going to switch to looking at it sideways. So now we do 2, 1, 1, and then 4 2s. Yep, and then we wrap it up with 3 and then 4. Looks like I'm gonna get this right on I got it at least to the spot. Now let's make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Boom. Nailed it. Nice. And then 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. No. It's only 1, 3. 4 2s. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 2, 3. 4 2s. 2 1s. 2 1s. A 2 and then 5 1s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. So, yep, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and then whatever that sound is in that song, it sounds like water dripping. What? What am I hearing? What's leaking? Two, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yep. And then a 3. Is that 3? Yeah. 1, 2. 3, 2, and then 2 3s. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then a 4. A 5. 3, 4, 4, 5. A 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. Boom. And then tie it off. Yep. Nice. Got these. Only, I think, one more to do. I think. We'll see. Hey, Fagwent. Nice to see you. Oh, I didn't finish that side. Okay. Well, here, let's go over here and finish this side before I do the rest. I got distracted after I made these things line up. Okay, so we did the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones. So now here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So on the 6th one, two, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 4 2s. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, and then the end. Haha, nicely done. It's beautiful when it works out the way it's supposed to. It's always nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's do 5. So, just as an update, I'm probably going to be doing this for another 30 minutes. Probably cut off a little bit before 3:30, just to switch over and let Zoe hop on to do her German stream. So if you understand the Deutsch, not sure what she's going to do. Last time she spent her entire 40 minutes breeding cattle, or breeding horses. Sorry, let me get it right. Breeding horses. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. She'll probably do the same thing again, knowing her. But I'm trying to get her to go do some building. But it's her stream. It's her world. She did need me to help her find herself because she got herself lost in her world. I'm not really sure what I think the game actually just reset itself when I had to reinstall everything after I'd reset the computer. But I went in to find her and I turned around and there was her big green castle on top of the mountain. Like, well, either we were just going in circles, and it wasn't right inside. I had to actually decide to pick a direction and go, and then there was the castle. So it's possible that she was just going in circles right next to it, but none of the mapping technologies helped us to pin it down. Even though I was looking at the right seed, nothing seemed to match up. And the 5 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we turn. Yep. So it's 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's make sure. 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yep. And then 1, and then 1, 2, 3 2s. 1, 2, 3. A 3. 1, 2, 3. A 2. 2 3s. 1, 2, 3. A 4. And a 5, right? Yep, 5. And then a 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. And then... Yep, dead on. That, man, that ellipse was so much easier than the first one. Not really sure why. I mean, we essentially did the same thing. But regardless of the reason, it's done now. So, woohoo. One, 2, 3, 4. Just keep going. I'm not sure why I counted that one, because it's like, just keep going. You don't need to worry about how far it does or doesn't go. Whatever this song is. Too slow for this. Funeral March of Chopin. Okay, sure. Not really sure why that's on that list. It's kind of a mix of oh, my ellipse. I need to see my ellipse. Although for right now I don't. It's kind of I created it as a list to. I have 3 different lists on the Dub FM station. One was for creating, and I had 2 different moods for that one. And then there was this one, which was just for stuff like this, which was just, fun stuff, and it's all copyright free, so I don't have to worry about it when I upload it to YouTube. But when the station decides to mix them all, you get some very interesting mixes, which generally when I'm doing this with someone else, I don't pay attention to it as much because I can talk to them. Real Spicy Panda. I like your handle. That is an awesome handle. That's just great. What's the inspiration behind that one? And thanks for joining in to watch as I build the Enterprise D. It's a team build, but I'm the only one here today. Oh, lovely. I think one of the cats left a surprise for me. Be sure to thank them for that when I go. Not really looking forward to that. Okay, something seems off right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I'm not really sure why this one. I think when I was laying that one in, I just forgot to go back and put these in. These help us with the intervals of 10. Hey, Seth the Riser, thanks for joining. We'll catch you later. As I said, I'm probably gonna switch over here about just under 20 minutes, like 17 minutes from now. Just build as long as I can. So we'll catch you around. Yeah, it's a big one. We'll be here for a while. Yeah. And I'll be posting pictures. I need to put the link, the Discord link in the chat, but it's right there on the stream. You can see it on the overlay. You should be able to. I need to spread that around so people can go in there, because I've been posting update pictures in there too for people to be able to see. So, yep, thanks. We'll see you later, Setherizer. Okay, so that's good. Now, I don't know if it matters to you, to you viewers, but we are definitely doing this in survival in creative mode, just because the only thing we're doing here is building. That's it. And oh, wrong one. Just didn't seem like it was necessary to add the extra challenge of having to find materials, especially in a world that's completely flat. There's just nothing. There's nothing. There's about 3 layers of stone between us, pardon me, and Oblivion. And even in creative mode, if you go too far down below that and knock out the bottommost layer of bedrock, you will fall through. I know, because I did this, and it's quite a fall. Got to do a fall without Cellist Mike turning off creative mode on me and watching me plummet to the earth. His favorite way to end all the streams. Not really sure why. I think it's just because he did it once as a joke, and I had such a reaction to it. So what I need to do is stop reacting. So I'm usually doing something. Like that time, the last time I was trying to take a screenshot, and he turned it off on me. What, really? Good thing I got that screenshot before you sabotage me. Not really sure why I'm doing all the lighted one first. Kind of just breaks it into chunks for later, maybe. As good a reason as anything else. Oh, no, right there. Oh, I still haven't taken time to go find that book. Guess I'm gonna have to pass this over to Zoe here soon so I can go find that book I need. Gotta have it for that meeting later. Looks like this one's all done. Oh, right here. Get it just right. Really wish they would let you kind of do like highlight. I'm going to build here and then just fill it in. There's probably mods that do that, but we're doing this unmodded. Well, mainly because it's a realm, so you can't mod on the realm. I mean, other than appearance, you can modify like the appearance of things, so textures and stuff like that. Not really done much with that because the only people I know doing that who I'd want to play with, they're doing such complicated texture changes that it takes like 20, even on a fast computer, it takes like 20 or 30 minutes to load the texture packs for the world they're building. Like, you know what, I don't really... The whole reason I built this computer is because I was tired of waiting so long for things to start up. Not gonna voluntarily put myself through that again. Not when I'm satisfied just building. But I suppose I could take a whack at it again just to see if after it's done it the first time if it gets any better, but my experience watching those guys play in that one, it doesn't get better. So, not really something. That's not really an appeal. Oh, hey, look, here's one we forgot to do. Easy peasy. This has a very Euro pop feel to it. Definitely a Europop feel. Doesn't mean it is, it just has that. Aw, shh. How many times can I do the wrong block? Let's see. That's at least 4 or 5 right there, counting the 2 I put on at the end that weren't the right ones. Okay, cool. I'm gonna finish filling in this tier. I'll be able to say I got two more done. Shellos Mike will be very happy, especially when I tell him I've got an easier way to generate his ellipses than how he was doing them. He was basically creating them and generating ellipses in Paint and trying to count using his mouse to get the pixels, to get the pixel count. Not the most efficient way that I've seen. So finding this little tool is nice. I think honestly that's how Silver Zodiac came up with the build plan for the Death Star. No, his came in Word documents, so he might have actually found someone's layout plans for it. But yeah, I remember he asked how big we wanted to make it, like from top to bottom. How big? And that's the thing. I keep remembering the size and scale of the Death Star that we were building in comparison to the world it was in, and it was built over a castle, so it always seemed much larger. But the distance that we gave from the far left, from the port side to the starboard side of this thing, I think is the same distance that we used for the top to bottom measurements when we gave him the numbers to generate the plans. So we may not be able to use the same plans. I'll have to look at them again to see. And we first started trying to do that in survival mode. Hey, Cassis Belly, thanks for joining in. I'm going to be on here for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to pass this over to my daughter Zoe for her to do her German Minecraft stream in her own world. But yeah, so definitely I have to. Oh no, I said that. No, we started building that thing in survival mode. Oh my word! It was such a pain. We spent so much time. Like the Silver Zodiac would get on just to mine materials and dump them in a bank we installed up there. In the, we had to build a little house at the bottom, in the inside of the basin, bottom of the inside of the basin. So we had a place to go, store stuff. And I remember he would spend so much time just mining stuff, and he's like, oh great, I put a ton of stuff in there, and I'd come in and like one session use it all up. And I remember him logging in and just that look, I could hear it in his voice. It's like, I put so much in here, what happened to it? And like, well, I used it, that was the whole point, right? It's gone. So at some point I finally, and we were just doing it from the inside, and so that slow creeping around to make to make the outer edge of those circles, it was just harrowing. I fell a lot. I remember how we decided on the height. One of our other teammates, he just started jumping, building underneath him, and he went as high as he could, and that was how we determined how tall the thing would be. But I remember after he did that, we went up several, I think there was at least 100 blocks between the bottom of the Death Star and the ground, because there was a big tower for a while that we had there that we had to climb up the ladder to get in if you were down to get into it. That's why I finally just set my spawn point to inside that basin. I don't remember when, but we eventually just started doing, like we'd go in and set it to creative mode just so while we were working on the Death Star, and then go back to it later. Switch back to survival mode for other things. But alas, that world is not really active anymore. I know it's still around, he still has it. It's one of the 3 worlds that we have access to on this realm. But I'm just not sure I want to go back to that one now. But anyway, thanks for joining in, Cassius Belly. I'm going to be finishing off 2 layers of this ellipse today. Jealous Mike will be so happy when I tell him. He's in Seattle today. Oop. Finishing off I'm pretty sure it's Geek Girl Con. I could just message him and go, which one is it again? Or I could just look it up on the calendar. It's probably available on the calendar. I've got the Dallas Fan Expo here in 2 weeks. So I'm going to be... I signed up to volunteer, but I think they actually call you workers. So we'll see. So applied to work some tech ops, like I do for Dragon Con. And kind of get a feel for it, because in this they do it twice a year, once in October and once in end of March, early April. And for that one, I want to go to as a vendor to sell my book. Channel, sometimes your gap between songs is a little too long. Oh, what are you doing now? Give me music. Oh, no, we'll skip that one. It's clearly too quiet and too slow. Not what I want for today. So nice of the weather to give us lovely weather to work in. Not that I mind rain. I actually enjoy rain. It's a good alternative to it being hot and having mosquitoes everywhere. That's just my opinion. Granted, it leaves standing water that mosquitoes could then breed in later, but as long as it's raining, they're not going anywhere, right? I've never really been the type to complain about rain in summer. A lot of people complain, it's like, oh, I want to go out and do things. You still can, you're just going to get wet. Like, no, I want to go out and have fun, summer fun, and rain ruins that. Like, yeah, well, rain also prevents you from overheating, so take your pick. I personally prefer it being colder than warmer, because you can always put more clothes on. You can only take so many clothes off. I'm trying to tell my daughter this. She's constantly complaining about how cold she is. She's not used to air conditioning because they don't have central AC in Germany and most of Europe. So she's completely unused to this modern thing we call AC. But more so because we're all very, very thin people, and some of the places around here, they just keep it so stinking cold. And it gets to the point where after we finish in a place, like just the other day, my wife and I went out to Smashburger to have lunch for a date. I walked outside, and my first reaction was to just stop and enjoy the burn of the heat as it warmed up like all of me. It was just so cold. Again, I don't mind cold, but since I have to dress for the outside to be able to ride my bike anywhere, because we still don't have a car yet. They'll change this week, but we're still probably going to bike a lot of places. Being dressed to be outside, basically exercising, and then going into a restaurant and sitting down for a while, it's a bit rough for those of us with not much meat on our bones. Yeah, I know. Thin people problems. Getting all kinds of emails all of a sudden. What's happening? It's just that time of day. So I don't know. I think I'm just going to leave it there. Let me give Zoe a call to get over here, and I can keep going until she gets here. Zoe. Zoe. Of course, right when it's time to come in to do this, she finally finds something entertaining to do. Hi, Zoe.
Hi.
Hi.
Ow.
It's a light chain. It doesn't hurt.
I know.
Oh, look.
I just like exaggerating.
Something spawned here? I didn't think that was possible in this world. But clearly something did. So what do you think?
Cool.
Oh, real quick, could you go check and see if somebody left us a present and bury it?
I don't want to know.
I think somebody just forgot to bury. We have 2 cats, and we have 2 litter boxes in the bathrooms under the sinks.
It's still fresh.
Yeah, I can tell it's fresh. Could you just bury it? Hey, cat owner problems. Still, I'd rather deal with just having to bury and scoop stuff than going outside and having to scoop it there. Wouldn't have to deal with litter, but hey. Not that I have an issue with dogs, I just prefer cats. Well, until we moved to Germany, we actually kind of always had dogs around. They were our outside pets. Dogs do wonders for keeping questionable people away from your house. Right, Zoe?
What?
I was just talking about how before we moved to Germany, we always had dogs. They were outside, and they helped keep questionable people away from our house.
Yeah.
Like delivery people and the occasional mailman and cable guy. Because those are questionable folks, let me tell you. You don't remember what they're up to.
What are you building?
This is the Enterprise.
Oh.
At least it's going to be when we're done. Right now,
Why did you use sea lanterns?
that was just so we could have something to light up. Because you'll know, for right now, technically I think it's daytime. No. Well, it's got to be because that thing was lit up over there. But the sea lanterns give us light. Cause look how dark it is down there.
Wow.
Yeah. So the sea lanterns give us. So I mean, if Cellist Mike or I forget to reset the sun, well, he can just do it by typing in
I thought it was Cellist Mike.
cellist. He plays the cello. Did you know that?
I think I did.
You think you did? Yeah, he had a cello at his house. You may have seen it sitting around. He doesn't play so much anymore, but he does still play it. Anyway, he can change the daytime and the weather just through command console. I can't, so I have to go down to that stupid button thing down there. So yeah, if he forgets to turn the sun on before it goes away, reset it before it goes away. It's nice to have these lights. Plus, we needed something to mark intervals of 10. I thought I told you this already. We needed something to mark intervals of 10. And those stand out from a distance. So I'm not going to finish the entire layer, but okay, so let's go see what it looks like. I'm going to turn the rain off. Bombs away!
So weird.
What is it? Platch.
Batch.
Hi, Kai Rice.
Platch when you jump into the water.
Let there be light. And there goes the rain. Whoa! That's big! Let's take a picture from there.
It definitely is big.
I prefer looking at it at night.
Goofball.
Now let's go up. Okay, so
Why is there a torch field?
to light up underneath that. That was Cellist Mike's
Did
idea.
it have some Klingon spaceship zapping the Enterprise?
No, but eventually we're going to have a whole fleet of Star Wars ships over here and a whole fleet of Star Trek ships over here. A bird of prey could be in there. Cellist Mike was talking about putting a Romulan bird of prey in there, but I told him, like, if you use the Enterprise D as scale, that Romulan warbird is going to have to be bigger than this because this can fit inside a Romulan, the inside of that middle space of a Romulan warbird. It can fit
Maybe
inside
a
that.
Borg cube.
Oh, I'm thinking definitely because we're going to have the Death Star over there, having a big
Make it out
Borg
of
cube over there.
obsidian.
Yep, that'll be easier because it's square. That's actually what I wanted him to start with, that or like a Star Destroyer because
You're making
straight lines.
an outdoor star.
Like an outdoor ship museum.
An outdoor sci-fi museum.
Yeah, mainly Star Trek and Star Wars. Trying to get a good shot where I can see the whole thing. There you go, almost. There it is. It's big, isn't it?
It's huge.
Let's get a shot from right here. I'm gonna share these in some Discords with people who've been asking about it.
Can you set up a chair for me to sit on?
Yes, I will in just a second. Just getting a lot of screenshots. Alright, there we go. Alright, so I'm going to switch over to let Zoe play her world. But before I do that, I'm going to restart the stream so it's a separate one. So thanks for everybody that joined. Thanks for the new follows. Almost, I'm so close to 100, like 2 away I think now. So give me just a second and I will be right back with Zoe in her Deutsche Spiele.